So she asked that boy to go to school without realizing the seriousness of this problem. And the boy immediately answered that he will go when there will be school in his neighborhood, because there was no school in that area of Simapuri where they were living. And then she also realized that why she asked in this way to that boy. And immediately she just turned the matter to divert the idea. She said, if I start a school, will you come? तो एकदम से उससे क्या कहते हैं कि अगर मैं ये स्कूल स्टार्ट कर, कोई भी यहाँ स्कूल स्टार्ट करती हूँ तो will you come? He said yes. He says, smiling broadly, he was very happy to think that there would be a school in his area, and he said yes. A few days later, I see him running up to me. Is your school ready? And see the willingness of that boy कि थोड़े दिनों के बाद जैसे ही एनीस जंग ऑथर जो है वहां से क्रॉस कर रही थी, तो वो लड़का भागते हुए उसके पास आया और उससे पूछ रहा है, इज योर स्कूल रेडी? कि क्या तुम्हारा स्कूल तैयार हो गया है? It takes longer to build a school, I say, embarrassed at having made a promise that was not meant. But promises like mine abound in every corner of his bleak world. Please note down and underline this last line, which sometimes come in the form of a question. कि उसने एक सोचा भी नहीं था कि ये लड़का इतनी जल्दी उससे ऐसे क्वेश्चंस पूछेगा, because she thought that these people are not going to school. Whereas we can see in these children also there was hope to do something good in life, to become something. एंड ही ऑल्सो वॉन्टेड टू गो टू स्कूल. और जैसे ही उसको एक ऑप्शन, एक एडवाइस दी गई, वो थोड़े दिनों के बाद भागता हुआ उस लेडी के पास आया, एनीस जंग के पास, ऑथर जो कि वहां से क्रॉस कर रही थी, उससे पूछता है कि क्या आपका स्कूल तैयार हो गया? But she felt very embarrassed, means very confused and ashamed कि why she made this promise which she was not able to fulfill. It takes longer to build a school. और उसको क्या क्या कर बात, वो जैसे कहते हैं ना टाल देना किसी को, कि उसको टालने के तरीके से वो क्या कहती है, it takes longer to build a school, कि एक स्कूल बनाने में बहुत टाइम लग जाता है. I say embarrassed at having made a promise that was not meant, because now she was feeling embarrassed and confused that she has made a promise which was not meant. That means which she was not able to fulfill. Then she realized, but promises like mine abound in every corner of his bleak world. कि ऐसी promises जैसे कि उसने promise करी थी उसके साथ, they are abound means large number. They are in large number in every corner of his bleak world. His bleak world here refers to the dark world of this boy, Sahib. His refers to Sahib. There is a word for these children that is very bleak, dark word. There is no light for these people, no hope for them for the future. And people. So she realized that it was the fake promise which she has made, because these type of promises are made to these children by many people. Because you know these things, when the politicians come, they take votes, they make different type of promises to these people also. So she realized that it was wrong promise or the idea that she has given, because she was not able to arrange any facility of school in that area. So she felt that these type of promises are made to these children in large number, and in every corner of his bleak world, in every corner of the world which is bleak and dark for these children. After months of knowing him, I ask him his name, Sahibe Alam, he announces. And when she used to meet that boy regularly for many months, then she asked about his name, and she came to know that his name is Sahibe Alam. He does not know what it means. And the boy did not know the meaning of that word. Sahibe Alam ka meaning kya tha? Usko apne naam ka meaning nahi pata tha. If he knew its meaning, Lord of the universe, he would have a hard time believing it. The author was So the author was very much surprised to understand this thing, that the boy whose name is Sahibe Alam, he does not know the meaning of his name. And if he knew its real meaning, that is Lord of the universe, is sari duniya ka malik, Lord, he would have a hard time believing it. It would be very difficult for him to believe this thing कि उसके नाम का मतलब क्या है कि वो सारी दुनिया का मालिक है. लेकिन एक्चुअल में क्या है, ही डज नॉट हैव इवन अ वन टाइम मील टू हैव. एक टाइम का उसको खाना भी नसीब नहीं होता. ही इज हैविंग दैट टाइप ऑफ डेस्टिनी. ऐसी उसकी किस्मत है कि उसको एक टाइम का खाना भी नसीब नहीं होता, जबकि उसके नाम का मतलब क्या है कि वो सारी दुनिया का मालिक है. सी द आयरनी ऑफ हिज name. Unaware of what his name represents, he roams the streets with his friends. और अनअवेयर मतलब इस चीज की जानकारी भी नहीं है उसको अपने नाम के बारे में, और वो अपने फ्रेंड्स के साथ सारी गलियों में इधर उधर घूमता रहता है. An army of barefoot boys who appear like the morning birds and disappear at noon. And with all the boys who are barefoot, those who are not wearing anything on their फीट, पैरों में उनके फुटवियर्स नहीं है, कोई चप्पल नहीं उन्होंने पहनी हुई, कुछ शूज नहीं पहने हुए. एंड दे अपीयर इन द मॉर्निंग लाइक द बर्ड्स एंड डिसअपीयर एट नून. कि एक ग्रुप बनाकर वो सुबह निकलते हैं जैसे कि मॉर्निंग बर्ड्स आते हैं, और आफ्टरनून तक वो घूमते रहते हैं, एंड देन दे डिसअपीयर. दे कीप ऑन सर्चिंग द थिंग्स फ्रॉम द गार्बेज डम्प्स. सारा दिन यही काम वो करते हैं. ओवर द मंथ्स आई हैव कम टू रिकॉग्नाइज ईच ऑफ देम. और कई महीनों तक कहते जब मैं उनको मिलती रही, तो ऑथर एनीस जंग बता रही है, शी स्टार्टेड रिकॉग्नाइजिंग ऑल ऑफ देम. कि बहुत से बॉयज थे जो कि ऐसे इकट्ठे ग्रुप में घूमते थे, एंड शी यूज्ड टू सी देम रेगुलरली, एंड देन शी स्टार्टेड रिकॉग्नाइजिंग देम. व्हाई आरंट यू वेयरिंग चप्पल्स, आई आस्क वन. तो एक दिन उसने एक लड़के से पूछा उस ग्रुप में से कि व्हाई आर यू नॉट वेयरिंग चप्पल्स, कि आप लोग चप्पल क्यों नहीं पहनते, व्हाई यू आर बेयर फिट. My mother did not bring them down from the shelf, he answers simply. See the answer given by one of the boys. कि एक लड़के ने क्या आंसर दिया कि मेरी मदर ने चप्पल जो है वो शेल्फ के ऊपर रखी हुई है, एंड शी डिड नॉट ब्रिंग देम डाउन, कि वो नीचे नहीं उतारती है और मुझे नहीं देते हैं वो पहनने के लिए. इवन इफ शी डिड, he will throw them off, adds another who is wearing shoes that do not match. और उसी ग्रुप में एक और लड़का था जो who was wearing shoes that do not match, कि उसने ऐसे शूज पहने हुए थे जो कि मैच नहीं कर रहे थे उसके. And he told this thing to the authors. He said that even if she did, he will throw them off. कि अगर उसकी मदर देगी भी तो वो उसको फेंक देगा. He would not wear. When I comment on it, he shuffles his feet and says nothing. जब मैंने कहते इस चीज के ऊपर कमेंट करा कि ऐसा क्यों है, एंड ही वाज शफलिंग फ्रॉम हिज फीट, जैसे कि उसके पैरों में कुछ पेन हो रही है, वो अपने एक पैर को दूसरे पैर के साथ पटक रहा था. आई वॉन्ट शूज, सेज अ थर्ड बॉय हु हैज नेवर ओन्ड अ पेयर ऑल हिज लाइफ. और तीसरा लड़का उसमें क्या कहता है कि आई ऑल्सो वॉन्ट शूज, एंड ही हैज नेवर ओन्ड अ पेयर ऑल हिज लाइफ. की सारी जिंदगी उसने कभी भी उसके पास एक पेयर शूज भी नहीं थे. Traveling across the country, I have seen children walking barefoot in cities on village roads. Our author जो है, she was compelled to think over this idea कि what type of fate these children have. कि एक कहता है मेरी मदर ने ऊपर रखी है वो देती नहीं है, दूसरे ने पहने हुए हैं शूज लेकिन वो मैच नहीं कर रहे. मतलब कुछ पुराने से शूज किसी ने फेंके हुए थे वो उसने उठाकर पहन लिए, जो कि एक पैर कुछ था दूसरा कुछ था. तीसरा क्या कह रहा है कि मुझे भी शूज चाहिए, आई हैव नेवर वॉर्न शूज इन माई होल लाइफ. एंड then she started thinking about this problem, and she said ki she had traveled across many the country, throughout the country she has traveled many times, and I have seen children walking barefoot in cities on village roads. और उसने बहुत बार देखा है कि लोग जो हैं, बच्चे जो हैं, वो नंगे पांव शहरों में गांवों की सड़कों के ऊपर घूम रहे होते हैं. And she realized that it is not the lack of money, but a tradition to stay barefoot is one explanation. कि जब वो किसी से पूछती इसका रीजन क्या है, तो उसको ये महसूस नहीं होता था कि it is not the lack of money, but a tradition to stay barefoot, कि लोगों के पास पैसे की कमी है जिस वजह से वो शूज नहीं पहनते. she realized that it has become a tradition for these people that they don't want to wear the shoes. उनके लिए एक ट्रेडिशन बन चुकी थी, एक प्रथा थी उनकी कि वो नंगे पांव ही घूमते थे. दिस इज वन एक्सप्लेनेशन शी गॉट द रीजन व्हाई दे आर नॉट वेयरिंग शूज, बिकॉज इट हैज बिकम ए ट्रेडिशन फॉर देम. आई वंडर if this is only an excuse to explain away a perpetual state of poverty. And she was very much surprised. She was wondered struck with this idea when this idea is given that it has become a tradition. She said ki it is an excuse that is given to explain the perpetual state of poverty, कि गरीबी की जो perpetual state है, continuous state है, लगातार वो गरीबी की हालत में रह रहे हैं, इसको explain करने के लिए एक excuse बना हुआ था कि ये लोग नंगे पांव रहना जो है पसंद करते हैं, उनकी एक tradition है. Then she remembered a story which is given to us in the next paragraph, which only tells us the significance of telling this story is that the fate of the people, of many people, had changed with the passage of time. But these slum children are still living in the same condition. They had never changed, and they did not even want to change their lot and their condition also. Look at the story, what she's going to explain us. I remember a story a man from Udupi once told me. This is a place, Udupi, that is in Karnataka. And she tells that there is a man in Udupi who tells a story about this. As a young boy, he would go to school past an old temple where his father was a priest. क्या स्टोरी बताता है कि जब वो एक यंग लड़का था अपने पास टाइम में, तो वो स्कूल जाया करता था और रास्ते में एक पुराना टेम्पल था. He used to cross that temple when he used to go to school, where his father was a priest. और उसके father उस temple में priest थे. He would stop briefly at the temple and pray for a pair of shoes. कि जब वो स्कूल जाता रास्ते में तो वो टेम्पल में कुछ देर के लिए रुकता और वहां पर प्रे किया करता फॉर ए पेयर ऑफ शूज. क्या दिखाया गया कि उस टाइम की कंडीशन क्या थी कि इवन प्रीस्ट के बेटे के पास भी शूज नहीं थे. दैट मीन्स दे वर आल्सो लिविंग इन वेरी पुअर कंडीशन. तो वो क्या प्रे करता कि भगवान उसको शूज दे दें. 30 years later, I visited his town and the temple, which was now drowned in an air of desolation. After 30 years, when I visited that town and I saw that temple, which had not totally changed, it was totally destroyed, खत्म हो चुका था वहां से वो temple. और in the backyard where lived the new priest, there were red and white plastic chairs. उसने क्या देखा 30 years के बाद जब वो वहां पर गया और ऑथर वहां पर विजिट करती है, तो what she noticed कि उस backyard में एक नया priest रह रहा था and there were red and white plastic chairs. A young boy dressed in a gray uniform, wearing socks and shoes, arrived panting and threw his school bag on a folding bed. और क्या नोट किया कि एक यंग लड़का भागता हुआ वहां पर आया जिसने कि ग्रे यूनिफॉर्म पहनी हुई थी, सॉक्स पहनी हुई थी, शूज पहने हुए थे और उखड़े हुए सांस के साथ था क्योंकि वो भागकर आया था. He threw his bag on the folding bed. Looking at the boy, I remembered the prayer on another boy had made to the goddess when he had finally got a pair of shoes. And then suddenly she said, ki when I looked at that boy, I remembered the prayer which was made by another boy to the goddess for giving him pair of shoes. And then she realized that with his prayer, he had got the पेयर ऑफ शूज, बिकॉज ये भी एक प्रीस्ट का बेटा था जो शो किया गया कि स्कूल से आ रहा है और उसने सॉक्स पहनी हुई है, शूज पहने हुए हैं, यूनिफॉर्म पहनी हुई है प्रॉपर, और वहां पर फोल्डिंग बेड है, प्लास्टिक चेयर्स है. दैट मीन्स एवरीथिंग हैज चेंज्ड विद द पैसेज ऑफ टाइम. दे हैड just raised their level of living. Priests, the family had raised the level of living. What she noticed when she visited after 30 years. And looking at the boy, I remembered the prayer another boy had made to the goddess when he had finally got a pair of shoes. Let me never lose them. और अब क्या प्रेयर हो रही है कि मैं इसको कभी खोऊं नहीं. The goddess had granted his prayer. Young boys like the son of the priest now wore shoes. And it means the God has granted their prayer. The goddess has granted the prayer. That means they wanted to wear shoes and they are getting it now. And the young boys like the son of the priest, they were wearing shoes now. But many others like the rag pickers in my neighborhood remain shoeless. लेकिन ऑथर जो एनीज जंग है, शी इज वेरी मच सरप्राइज टू थिंक ओवर दिस आइडिया कि ये जो रैग पिकर्स हैं जो अभी भी उसके पड़ोस में हैं, दे आर स्टिल शूलेस, स्टिल दे डोंट हैव शूज ऑन देयर feet. So what is the importance or the significance of telling this story to us? She just wanted to make us realize this thing, that these children who belong to the rag picking families, who search on the garbage dumps, they had never changed their lot. If they are getting the things, they don't spend money. If they are getting the money, they don't spend the money on these things. So it has become a little tradition for them to remain barefooted, because these people, they feel that they can they should spend the money on their meal only, not for other things. If they get the money, they don't want to raise their standard. That's why these people have not changed their lot, whereas the son of the priest has got shoes now, and their standard had been raised. It has changed now. This is the observation that she got after 30 years when she visited that area.